Everyone good to go? Thumbs up. How many people are taking their class? Just Liam? Good, 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 good. All right, guys. Yep. All right, please teach me. Okay, we're going to do a smaller version of class today. I don't think that you have to sit around for 40 minutes while you are able to practice your own chucking at home, and you don't need to see me for 40 minutes, just me chucking. So the focus today is going to be going through all of our material and making sure that before we end up switching you over to Chuckin, that you have yourself a list of techniques, that each one of these techniques are going to be clear by themselves, and then I'm actually going to put some moves together for you. So the form submission that I'm looking for is that you're able to, let's just say, produce a combination that's going to allow you to have good fluid movement. Like, for instance, I'm able to do a downward figure eight to an upward figure eight to a vertical 1 to 2. Something where you're able to put things together. So without further ado, come on over to the board for just a second. All right, there we go. Follow me, follow me, follow me. Come with me, follow me, please. There we go, good. All right, and what I'll do is I'm gonna write up a list for you guys so that way you have this at home. Pretty much these are all the moves that you guys have gone through. You guys have heard the 8 strikes, the 1-to-1 patterns, 1 to 2s, there's your downward figure 8s, handoff, same stick and opposite stick, the wheel. I know all of you guys love the wheel. Your vertical 1 to 2s, that's your stir pot, gotcha cow, all the way down into like things like thumb rolls, palm rolls, finger flips. Now, we didn't get a chance to do any finger flip 1 to 3s and finger rolls. These guys right here are a little bit more advanced towards the very end, but you guys know or have gone through about, I'd say 90% of this material. All right, so Miss Joanna in the back is going to be calling off the technique, and I'd say about 30 seconds, maybe a little bit less each, so that way these guys are able to see what exactly is going to be each of these techniques. So just kind of list it off as we go through, and we're going to do some chucking. You guys at home, if it turns out that you're just sitting watching, then take notes. That way the stuff that you practice at home is clear. And again, as we lay the chucks to rest, not literally, we're going to then you remember what each of these things are. So come 18 months later, after we go through Chuckin and sword, that your chucks are still going to be like, oh, I still remember what a figure 8 is. Okay? All right. Come on over. All right. So the first things first, let's start with a basic 1-to-1. All right. So with me? Okay. 1-to-1, you guys should know this really, really well. You see the guard up? All right. So we're going to go 1-to-1 pattern. All right. So I'm going to start off, and I'm going to call it lefts and rights for you guys. Left foot steps out. We're going to do a downward. And this downward strike is coming from the top down. Left foot steps back. Step through with the right foot, and this should still maintain the same plane. As I make my rotation at the end of my turn, it's going to go up and over, and now facing the opposite direction. Really hasn't changed any direction at all. I'm going to set out the left foot again. There's my upward. Step back. There's my downward, and again, I'm thinking about what the chuck's hitting. If I had a coconut in front of me, I'd be hitting the coconut on the bottom, and then I'm going to bring it all the way back around. Okay? I'm going to do the same thing, same footwork with a downward figure 8 and upward figure 8. So we'll do the 1 to 2 pattern. So from here, steps out, and then we have our downward figure 8. All right, now, when we make these cuts, this downward cut creates this upward cut. And then step through, footwork never changes. Okay, now this upward cut is going to make this circle. And then steps out with the left foot again, upward figure 8. Steps back, this upward cut creates the downward cut on this side. If you need to pause, rewind, that's what you do. Okay? And then brings it around. I'm going to go one more time. Steps out, down. Look, upward. Step. Circle. Step out, upward. Downward. Step through. And circle. Okay? And always end with the close. Always end with the close. All right. Next, we have ourselves grips. All right. Haven't talked about this in a long time. All right. So we got 2 different parts. One part we hold on, that's the wand. The part that we're hitting you with is called the chuck. And of course, when I switch parts, that this one becomes the wand, this one becomes the chuck. In terms of where we grip these guys, I think sometimes we just kind of go into what makes sense for the move. And if you don't practice different grips, then I think that will limit what you can get away with. So at the very end, we have ourselves our combative grip, our combat grip at the very, very end. We're gonna have the most amount of swing, the most amount of power, or the most hit. The question is it gonna clear the ground? Is it gonna hit you in the foot? It shouldn't hit you in the foot. So just be aware of where the chuck is when you're done the stroke. If we crawl up to the very middle, this is our neutral grip. So as we get ourselves in some of our techniques, this is probably the biggest place you're gonna spend the most of your time. And then crawling, hence the word crawl, all right, all the way up to the finesse grip. The great part about the finesse grip is that it allows a lot of fine moves, but at the same time, I can't get a good power move from here. This is a lot of fine motor, and I would never ever swing a downward stroke like this. I'm gonna pinch this little piggy, So you got to remember when you're striking, work your way towards the bottom. When your thumb rolls, finger rolls, hand rolls, work your way up towards the center. All right, now in terms of what hand is like positive grip, negative grips, let's start off with our first one. This is a palm up position, positive grip number 1. Good job. Got the peanut gallery in the back. Positive grip number 2. Good work. And positive grip number, you guessed it, 3. All right, one more time. So from here, this is number 1, positive grip number 1, positive grip number 2, positive grip number 3. And I think I said this quite a while ago. When you guys are doing this grip right here, most people want to kind of hang out at this grip. I'm curious as to when you use this grip. See if you guys remember where this grip is mostly seen. Same kind of thing when we get into negative grip. This is a very, very common grip for some of those finesse moves. So let your noodle think about that. All right, so for the negative grips, palm down, positive grip number 1, positive grip number 2, positive grip number 3. This is another one. What is this thumb doing? So when I'm in this position, why would I take my thumb off? You don't want to let it go flying out of your hand. But when you're swinging, it's possible that I might stall. Oh, there's another word, stall. Crawls. We didn't talk about slides yet, all right? But crawls and stalls. So as we work our way up and down the chuck, whatever positive or negative we have, the way to get up towards the chuck is going to be your crawls. So one of the things you should practice is start at the very end of the chuck, and you're just doing your upwards and downwards, and you're working your way up, and you're working your way up, and you're working your way up, and you're all the way at the top. A slide is going to be on the way back. As I slide back, it's a little bit of crawling, but what you're not doing is you're not letting go of the chuck since you're sliding out. Okay, again, so crawling, working your way up, and sliding, working your way back, which brings us to some strikes. So now we have 8 strikes. The 1-to-1 was the first thing that we learned in the 8 strikes, or I was also part of that. So this is something I really, really want you to make sure that you put attention on, because I was putting a lot of focus on footwork and everything that I was picking on stance for everybody. So when I do my 8 strikes, I like to make sure, I got plenty of swivel room. So I'm going to do my 8 strikes facing 3 different directions, one to the camera, one to the side, and one to the front. And I don't know if the camera's going to pick up the sound. I want you to hear your chuck. All right, ready? Here goes. Ready? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay. Now I'm going to work the other side just to give it some attention, facing to the side. Ready? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Keeping the guard up and to the back. I'm looking for clean lines, no jigglies all the way down. All right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then as you're practicing, feel free to throw a strike in the middle of all your freestyle. It adds to, I'm going to say, the level of creativity. It shouldn't just be all the fanciness and the finger rolls and the flips and the magic tricks. I really like to see that you still have some intensity behind those movements, that it's not just a bunch of finger moves. Okay? Moving on. All right. So we got ourselves our 1-to-1 pattern, our 8 strikes, our grips, our parts, clutching. Okay? Now we're going to be, once we get past some of these moves, the list is going to start accelerating here. All right, so clutching, I like to see that any part of your body, there's a term we use in martial arts called taijutsu. Every part of my body is usable, all right? And right now, I'm not hitting myself. I'm not going that, all right? That is not a clutch. That's, bump to my head. So the hips, the shoulders, the armpit, even your own arm, when you're practicing your arm, you're using the chuck as a means of a bounce. So the chuck shouldn't hit you. It should be right around the string. When you're clutching to the inside leg, I'm not hitting myself. It's the string, and the clutch is going past me. Okay, so if you're hurting yourself clutching, you're doing something wrong. Okay? All right, moving on. Clutching, crawls, slides, stalls. Now, when we do a stall, the chuck shouldn't continue its movement and then come back and bash you. So as I make my swing, here, why don't you look like my side here. It's not going to hit me. I'm slowing the chuck down at the very end. Hence the term stall. I'm getting it to almost stop. So when I drop it down, it's not going to end up continuing this motion and smashing my fingers. If I don't stall, clap. All right, well, we've all done that. We've all, had a sore finger because of that. But again, how you work the last inch of your swing is going to determine whether or not it was a good stall or not. And again, here, here, and here. If I go like that, stalling is going to be difficult. Easier, easiest. Okay? All right, moving down the list. Footwork. This should be like a no-brainer for you guys. I've been picking on your feet the entire time. So every single time that I see that you're doing okay, all right, got my handles, look how pretty it is. Oh my goodness gracious, look at the wheel, look how dynamic it is. And I'm just like, I'm having nightmares. So make sure that you guys are putting a stance in there. So if you're making these big moves, I like to see that your stance is supporting all those moves that you're doing. I want it big, because then you're giving life to the chuck. And then the chuck is giving life to you. All right, moving on. All right, down towards our 1 to 2s. We did the down figure 8, the upward figure 8, handoffs. All right, as we work around with our handoffs, I want your hands to be free to grab either part of the chuck. It's planned. So when I give it to this hand, and I give it to this hand, same stick handoffs, well, is it possible I could get a hold of it this hand? If I was to practice one of my ratios, I could use that handoff and say I can grab the chuck with this, or I could grab the chuck with this. Part of that is just going to be simply practice that you can say, I know where the chuck is at all times. If it's flying in the air and it's spinning around, I'm not like, where did it go before it hits you in the head? Mr. David and I used to do that. We used to throw it up in the air and see if we could catch it. Spin around 3 times. All right, besides the point. The focus is that when you're clutching and you're trying to grab that opposite part of the chuck, you're not like, where'd it go? Oh, yeah, it's, I got it. Oh, there it is. You should be able to know that where it is, okay? Again, find your other hand. You guys are able to do that. Find your other hand behind your back. Easy stuff. All right, moving on, the wheel. All right, so when we do the wheel, I'm gonna turn to the side and bring the camera up just a little bit here. I wanted some clarity on this. Is that when we're doing the wheel, I wanna make sure that you've got these 2 things happening. Ooh, what is that? Maybe, familiar? Okay, so when we do this move, the hand is in that positive or that negative grip position, and I'm gonna toss it to the shoulder on the opposite side and allowing the chuck to make this rotation. There's that position again. Oh, very peculiar. Can't even say it. Peculiar. Anyway, all right. So I've got this position, tosses it, and I've got this rotation. And this hand's ready to go. I'm not gripping it. I'm just rotating it, and I'm going to wait until I feel ready. And then it has to still be in this position. And then I toss it, and I'm just kind of swinging it around and then saying, I'm ready to go. The better you get, it's already ready to go. But I still got to make this big movement. When you see, look at that, Mr. Erik talking chucks on TV. All right, when you see movements like this, my hands are still doing that. They're just ready to go the moment that the chuck comes around. You just got to put in your 1,000 reps here, guys, if that's all it is. And I promise you, when you look back and if you video yourself now and then 1,000 reps later, you'll be like, man, that was me. That was me. Okay, moving on. Vertical 1 to 2s. Vertical 1 to 2s with steps. All right, stir fry, catch a cow. You guys all know how to do this. I like to see the guard. And I like to see the footwork can go in the direction of the rotation. So if we're going this way, we should practice it both sides. So we have this version and this version, both directions, okay? So when I make my steps, it should be appropriate. When I come back, it should be appropriate. Even if I was to put a jump with it, or a jump with it, that it's going to end up not going the opposite direction of my movement, okay? Going down the list, 1 to 3s. All right. We talked about this for a good bit, where we had 2 circles and 1 big circle, or 2 circles and 1 big circle. All right, so when we're making this motion, we have ourselves this big, big downswing. So 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Now the same thing goes for the outside. So if I had this small circle and this big circle and a big circle, I'm focusing on being able to have all 3 of these circles that they're appropriately sized. Because when we do both sides and we're swinging back and forth, they should work well together, all right? And this ties into a 1 to 3 where we're working off this vertical 1 to 2. So you got this warped version. We talked about this. You got your vertical figure 8, and then you're cutting back on that, and then bringing back the vertical figure 8. So this is your warped 1 to 3, and you guys should just be able to connect the dots between this upward figure 8 and this vertical figure 8. Okay? Going down the list, there's a lot. Trust me. Okay? All right. Your 5-strike float pattern. This guy was back on the bag. I don't know if you remember this. We focused on having a down strike and then a back fist motion, and then coming around and striking again. And it basically went 1, 2, 3, all on the same side of the bag. And then we cut back, and then we did a down strike again on that same side. And one of the applications we're going to do, or we were going to do with our hand work, was strike, back fist, cut, bridge hand, chop. And all it is a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, all on the same side. Cut through. Come back, back down. Okay? Almost there. Throws. All right, there's about a throw for every single technique that you have. If you have yourself the underarm throw, the behind the back throw, the under the shoulder throw, every single time you're throwing, you're losing the chuck in space and having to regain it. So when you guys are practicing this one-to-one and say, I'm going to catch it, it gets very, very easy to the point you say, okay, I'm not going to make that mistake. You want to practice throws that you drop it 5 times out of 10. And now you dropping it 10 times out of 10, okay, well, then maybe you're not ready for that throw quite yet. If you're failing it every single time, why don't you just practice on your basics first? The basics parts of the throws are, I can keep track of the chuck. Remember back when we did this? There's 1 rotation, there's 1 full rotation, there's 1.5 rotations. With the tape, you remember doing that? I know that you do. So when you guys are practicing something like that, you're like, man, I can't catch it. Well, then practice that a couple more dozen times and get familiar with how to be able to watch the chuck when it's coming around. Okay? All right, underarm throw, same side catch, under leg throw. Those are all throws. Hand rolls. I know you guys love your hand rolls. I like my hand rolls too. All right, I got big hands. Depending upon the size of your hand, you might find yourself here or here. Definitely not here. Okay? All right, so coming from here, hand roll, open the hand, let it go. This hand's coming around. What you're doing is you're letting the chuck get to the back of your palm to be able to let go. And for a moment, it's just flying. So if you watch this, I'm going to go as slow as I can. It's going to come to the palm, and I'm going to let it fall. I'm going to go 1, 2. And for just a moment, it was touching my palm. That's the timing that you have to catch the chuck. 1, 2, now. Okay? And if you're not catching it perfectly, that's not a big deal. Okay? But since you have that hand roll, then you've got this hand roll. And 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 that hand roll. And that hand roll. So, again, you've got lots of time in your hands at home. And you got chucks. And you put the chucks in your hand. And you work those chucks. All right. No excuses. All right. Thumb rolls. We talked about that a little bit. Again, nothing can be in the way. You can't allow your fingers, once you're here, your fingers are going to get in the way. Everything needs to be out of the way when you're going here. If you did it with nothing, no catch, it would be free to just fall straight down. You wouldn't be caught by your fingers. And we're running short on time, so let's come over here to the board here. The palm roll and the finger flip. The palm roll works the same idea as your thumb roll, where you're basically rotating around. And the goal of this is for you to be able to say, it's not a throw. I'm not throwing it and then catching it. All right. Back up just a little bit, Mr. Ben here. All right, you can get the full chuck in there. Okay. All right, what you're trying to do is you're trying to basically be attached to it. So you're giving it like a little bit of loft, but saying, I'm going to keep my hand with it. And you're catching it with the same stick. You're not getting the opposite stick as you would with the hand roll. And a thumb roll, guess what? You're on the opposite side. So when you're doing this, you're catching that opposite piece there. So on the palm roll, you're going to catch it on the same stick. All right, finger flips. Now, every single time you're in a positive grip, you can work your way towards a negative grip. Back to a positive grip. Back to a negative grip. So if you're in a downward figure 8 and you did your hand roll, you can sneak it and say, I'm going to sneak across. Basically, it's your little peace symbol. And saying, I'm going to end up going from here to getting that. Oh, wait a second. Isn't that same hand position? It just keeps creeping itself up each time. and then I'm going to get to here, and then from here, I'm just going to grab it. I know, it's Mr. Erik silliness. You're just going to have to deal with it, okay? But again, each time that you're doing each of these techniques, don't worry so much about the finger flip 1 to 3. That's, I'll demonstrate it for you so you can see what it is. Back up just a little bit here. All right, so I'm going to do a hand roll. I know we're there. Essentially, on the outside, I'm going to be over here, and I'm going to finger flip it to here and bring it around, and then I'm going to hand roll. And so all I'm going to do is I'm going to finger flip each time and bring it around. I know it's a little difficult to do it slow, but I'm going back to a negative grip each time. Negative grip, back to a negative grip. So as I'm coming around, I'm going here and then grabbing it again. It stays in the negative grip. So essentially, you're doing a 1 to 3 and putting the finger flip in there. A little bit more advanced than we've worked on. Okay, I know we're at 8:01, so that's probably 20 minutes. So at this point, in my homework I'm going to give to you, and I want to see it, is the combinations of moves. So I want you to come up with no more than 10 moves, no less than 5. You think that's agreeable, that their technique is going to end up being like a nice complete sentence? So that if I'll give you an example. Okay, I'm going to go and a vertical 1 to 2, followed by an upward figure 8, by a clutch, a hand roll, and a strike. Okay, 1, 2, clutch, clutch, hand roll, strike. And as I practice, this might be what happens. Ready? Dropped it. Okay, wait a second. Okay. Okay. Oh, I dropped it again. Okay. Stop. Go back to Chumbi. They're like, all right, got this one. It goes there. Then it goes there. Then it goes. Oh, that one time I really did drop it that time. All right, let me try it one more time. 1, 2, clutch, boom, hand roll, strike, and make it like a personal move. It's kind of like your version of chucking, not like what does Mr. Erik want to see. Give me something that's personal to you, and give me some good fluid movement. Again, no less than 5, no more than 10 moves, as if it was a miniature kata, and that it blends, it flows well. So I really hope that even though we're going to be switching gears to go to the different tools, and even though I don't have you inside the karate school, I know Miss Joy is back there like, oh, she's waiting for staff. She has been like, chomping at the bit back there. You don't have to love this tool, but you do have to be able to gain something from it. I can't make you love any particular art. I can't make you love any particular form, but you're obligated to learn something from it. So Mr. Rain is going to come around and say, all right, all my chuckers, what'd you learn? And let's apply it to the staff. Because I guarantee he's going to pull up, what does this thing do? This is a very flexible tool. And his staff is a very rigid tool. Hint, hint. There's your connection there. Okay? All right. You know what the homework is? Any questions based upon that? Anything from anybody? Yeah, we'll figure that part out. If we have to, we're going to find some tree limbs this coming spring, and we'll shave it down, and we're going to make our Super Johnny staff out of a twig. It's going to happen. I mean, we're making leaps and bounds in technology nowadays. Honestly, that's actually a very good question. Let me pause this just for a second here. Okay, I never specified any of the homework time for any of the other classes. Honestly, I think you should practice this every single day. I mean, it should be easy with all the time you have in your hands to practice 10 minutes. Easy. 10 minutes easy. And you know what? I'd even put more attention on that left hand. You know what? Make yourself the challenge. Say, you know what? Non-dominant hand. And I know there's some left-handers out there. So non-dominant hand to where you're doing the chucking and it's fluid and it looks good with that hand. So then 10 minutes a day out of a whole week, that's 70 minutes right there. You have yourself easily an hour of investment. You want to practice it more, then go for it. But don't post anything that's sloppy. Don't give me anything that's like, I don't know. I'd like to see something that's, innovative. 10 minutes a day, you think is appropriate? Okay. Anything else, Mr. Wayne? Okay. All right. I love you guys. You guys know that you're always in our hearts, and we miss you terribly. And so, it hurts my heart not to see you guys, because the thing that keeps me going is being able to motivate you guys. And, many, many years ago when I started doing martial arts, didn't realize how important it was for me to help someone else out until I started doing it. And so I really want you guys to keep helping yourself out and in this time of us trying to figure out things. So, you know, the Chux definitely, hey, you know what, this is a good example. When did Chux come about, and why did they come about? And we're in very similar times right now. So, all right, I love you. Practice hard. Turn in those video submissions. Yep. Thank you for teaching me.